Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to avoid all of the mistakes that can be caused when setting up an IMM brush. At the moment I've got this curved tube snap tool loaded into ZBrush, and as you can see, wherever I draw, it's drawing out a nice sexy little tube. And this is a great way of being able to easily create things like hair or ropes or stitching. So yeah, it's a great function in ZBrush, but the real thing I want to talk about today is what if you want to make your own? What if you want to create your own shape that follows this curve? Now this is very easy to set up in ZBrush, but there are a few things that will trip you up if you don't know about them. First thing you want to do is make the shape that you want to actually project along a curve. I'm just going to load in a new subtool, and I'm going to pick a plane 3D. So we've got a plane 3D. Let's just close that down, right? And I want this to follow the curve. Now, the way that setting up IMM brushes in ZBrush works is whichever way you're orientated in the viewports will be the direction in which your IMM shape will follow. So at the moment I've got this plane here, and I want this plane to follow the curve. So I'm going to make this really clear for you guys. So I'm going to just quickly, you don't need to do this, but I'm just going to do this just to show which way things are orientated. So I'm going to split this up into several polygroups. Let's just make that nice and neat. And let's just change that to a different color as well. Oops. Let's make that nice and clear, there we go. And I'm going to poly divide this a little bit further because there is a reason for this, because I want to make it really clear for you guys. So, and to make this extra clear, I'm going to subdivide this several times, just using ZBrush, just so that we can do some poly paint on, just to show how clear things are. Knock the adaptive size down. And let's go again. Just want more polys in there. And now I'm just going to quickly write a few things on here. So we've got the top. Oh, let's just make sure we've got RGB on. And we've got black selected as well. So we've got the top. We've got the bottom. There we go, that's the top, the bottom. And then we've also split this into, I need to redo the poly group again, let's just do that. And we've got this split into two different colours. So blue is left, green is right. And we're facing the front here. If we convert this into an IMM brush now, which you can easily do by going up to here and then clicking Create Insert Mesh. It'll then ask you this. We don't append it to anything. We just want to create a new brush. So I'm just going to click New. Now, if we go over to the cylinder over here, and now if you draw it out, you'll see that it's following the direction that I'm placing it, which seems like it's all correct. But then if you go into curve mode, and then you draw a curve out, lo and behold, it is not correct. We want it to be following along the curve, so these poly groups here are facing towards the camera, and they're not. And if we go into the subtool and we turn on the poly paint, you'll see that the top and the bottom are not correct. We basically want the top and bottom to be along this surface here, as in the top will be here and the bottom will be here, and then the top will be here and then the bottom will be here. So they just keep on connecting to each other. So what's causing this? That's the question I want to ask. And the root of this issue is actually to do with the fact that the surface is perfectly flat. It's got no rear faces, as you can see. And as far as I'm aware, in ZBrush you can create a curve brush that has a flat surface. They've got curve flat snap here, and you've got curve flat, and they all function correctly the way that you'd intend. So if I was to select those brushes and draw that out, it works how we'd expect it to. But if I use the IMM brush I just used a minute ago, that I just created, it's not working the way we want it to. So how do we fix that? Well, the simple answer is that this surface here, this object, it doesn't have any back faces. And in ZBrush, for some reason, when you're creating curve brushes, or IMM curve brushes specifically, it likes depth. Even though the curve brushes inside that exist inside here that are flat do work, for some reason if you make your own, it doesn't work. So I haven't found out how to fix this issue, but this is the only workaround, is that you have to give it depth. So let's just give it a little bit of depth. Let's go to BZM, which is the shortcut. B gets the brushes up, Z searches for Z modeler, and then M selects it. And let's just go over a face and press space, and this will give us the polygon actions for a face. And let's select all polygons, and let's just Q mesh that out. You can also use extrude as well. You need to give it a certain amount of depth. If you don't, then it won't work. And as you can see, we're losing our poly groups now, so let's just do those again. And let's try that again. So let's go to create insert mesh, new, and let's go over to our little drawing surface over here, and let's go to curve mode and draw out. And you'll notice that it's functioning correct now. Yay! Happy days. But obviously there is still an issue here, and that is that they're not connected. So let's just move that up out of the way for a second. And let's delete the curve. Now, how do we fix this? How do we fix this issue? A simple fix for this is to go to brush, scroll down to modifiers, and you want to make sure that weld points is on and stretch is on. Now, if you draw this out again, you'll notice that it's sort of connected. There we go. And you'll notice that it's not, because does that look welded well to you? No. If I actually delete this curve, and now if I smooth this out, you'll notice they're not connected. Now, I've actually done this on purpose because this is something that will catch you out. The reason for that is, if we go back to our original IMM that we created, we haven't hollowed this out. At the moment, each time this is duplicated along the curve, it's trying to merge those vertices together, but it can't because we've got faces along here. We need to get rid of those faces. So let's do that. So let's Control Shift select the top and Alt to minus that. do that again. Now we've got no face at the top, and let's do the same at the bottom as well. There we go. Oh my goodness, my Wacom tablet's going crazy. And let's make sure that we delete hidden. Now let's create the IMM brush again. And now let's go and draw it out again. Oh, make sure you got curve mode selected. And of course, weld points and stretches turned off again, so we need to turn those on again. Let me just clear the canvas a little bit. Weld points, stretch. Now you might have noticed there is another issue here you got to watch out for when you create an IMM brush on a curve, and that is that at the moment it's embedding into the surface, it's not actually snapping to the surface like we want it to. If you click on the curve, it will obviously update, but that's not what we want. We want to be able to like draw straight out onto the surface, and it's not doing that. We've got snap enabled up here. If you haven't got, obviously it is a shortcut like I have, you'd go up to curve, stroke, and then curve mode, and then you'd make sure it snaps turned on here. But that's not, it's still not functioning the way we want it to. So the reason for that is because drag rect is selected for the new IMM. So you need to make sure that you change this to dots. And now if you draw it out, it'll snap to the surface properly. So we're slowly getting there. We're slowly getting to where we want to be. We still got a few issues here. You can see that like this isn't terribly clean. Like if we were to draw this out as a really wiggly line, you'll see we're kind of getting this stepping. And there's a few things we can do to fix that. If we go back to the brush and then go down to modifiers, we can change the curve res. We can increase that a bit, and all of these settings you can just tap on the curve afterwards and it'll auto update, as I mentioned earlier, and that's fixed the issue. Look how clean that looks now. And if we smooth this, you get a nice clean result. But we still got one more issue. And if we go to the end of this curve here, you'll notice that there's no polys at the end. And the reason for that is because when we set up the IMM, let's go back to the IMM, we obviously got rid of those faces at the top and the bottom. There's an easy fix for that. Obviously we want to have those, we want to have no face at the top and bottom so that it connects, then each time it sends a new one along the curve, it connects and welds properly, which is what we spoke about earlier. I'm actually just going to start again here. Let's create a new cube. I'm going to hide the old one. And let's scale it in so it's nice and thin. And let's make sure that we ZBrush it. We want to make sure that it's nice and clean. Adaptive, we want to set to 0 so that all the polys are perfectly even across the whole surface. And you'll get like a bit of a funky result here. We want it to have sharp edges, so what you can do is you can turn on detect edges, and you'll get a nice clean Z remesh. And I don't really want that many polys, so let's go to half and reduce it down a bit. Something like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this surface. I'm going to delete the old one. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. And we're going to give each one its own poly group. And we're just going to offset them so that they're at the latter end. So you've got one at the bottom, one in the middle, and one at the top. Now, the way this works is we're going to use something called triparts, which basically means that the center shape is going to be what goes along your curve. Basically, it's going to be what's in between. The bottom shape is going to be what your curve starts with, and the top shape is going to be where it ends. What shape's at the end. So obviously, at the end and the beginning of the curve, we want to have faces at the top. And at the start as well, we want faces. But we don't want them, we want to be able to weld points between each time it replicates it along a curve. So we're going to get rid of the faces again like we did earlier. And let's delete hidden. We're going to do it with the top one as well, but only on the inside, not the outside. Delete hidden. And the same at the bottom as well. Delete hidden. So now you'll see, if we pull these apart, there's no faces at the top there, no faces at the bottom there, so they'll weld together well. And then we've got the same there as well. So let's combine these together now. I'm going to merge them together into one thing. And then let's go to create a new mesh, new iMesh, insert mesh. Now let's try drawing it out. So we want tripart selected, and we want weld points, so we want stretch. And of course we want to make sure dots is selected. And lo and behold, we've got faces on the end now. And we've got faces at the start as well. Oh my god. But then we've got that stepping back again, so we want to just make sure that our curve res is turned up slightly. And there you go. And you can see that the triparts is working. So we've got the first shape that we made, the middle shape, and then we got the end shape. And there you go. You've got a fully functioning IMM brush there. So yeah, I hope that was helpful, guys. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll try and answer them as quickly as possible. And of course, if this video helped you, please do subscribe and like this video. You'll be doing me a massive favour. See you guys next time.